Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakorash. The double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, linking the things that are happening worldwide as well as here in Babylon the Great, which is America. We link these things to the Holy Scriptures so that the faithful elect, the remnant of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, can know and understand that all of these things that are happening are a part of the Heavenly Father's word, a part of his plan, a part of prophecy, all right, which, ultimately are things that need to happen that guarantee the salvation of the elect through the return of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, who is our mediator, our high priest, and our way back to the Father. And through his blood, the death, burial, and resurrection, the sins of the elect are covered, all right, which ultimately in our final captivity, as we are here in this new modern day Egypt, Babylon the Great, and the various different captivities where we are scattered, the elect can now come back to the Heavenly Father through the root of Jesse, contrary to the covenant we made with Moses, where righteousness was based upon the law, statutes, and commandments. Now faith in his only begotten Son activates, right, the spirit, and only by the shedding of his blood, right, which we believe wholeheartedly in the death, burial, and resurrection, right, through the power that raised him from the dead, through that blood that was shed, okay, we now have access to the understanding of these scriptures, man. The seals have been, broken, and now the Heavenly Father has sent down the understanding to his servants, the prophets, in these latter days to comfort you brothers and sisters who are of the household of faith. And that faith, all right, as the scriptures say, faith as the size of a mustard seed can move mountains, and mountains are being moved at the faith of the elect in these latter days. All of these things that we see happening, right, throughout the four corners of the earth are centered around the Heavenly Father, okay, sending his only begotten Son back to deliver the elect, just like all of the plagues in ancient Egypt were centered around the Lord sending his angel, okay, to work miracles, through Moses, eventually, Joshua, and so forth. The splitting of the Red Sea, those miracles were all done through the power of the angel that the Most High sent, which that angel is Yahweh Shai. Paul tells us that, and I believe the book of 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, and as things are being heightened, plagues are hitting Babylon the Great, the new modern day Egypt, all right, we're going to need that kind of defense and more. And it's all written in the volume of the book, all right, as we are watching our enemy implode on himself, okay, and all of the lies that have once dominated, the narrative for years are being crushed. And we are definitely at the end of Esau's world, all right, as the book of 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse states, okay? Let's get it. It says, Esau, this is in the GNT, represents the end of this age. Okay, well, so when we talk about the end of the world, we're talking about the end of an age. Okay, and prophetically, that will be marked by, okay, Babylon the Great's fall, as well as Esau's fall. So by default, we know that the biblical Edomites control Babylon the Great. Okay, because we know prophetically in Revelation, the 18th chapter, leading into the 19th chapter, okay, the kingdom is set up at the fall of Babylon the Great. Okay, so Esau, okay, just like, Egypt was ran by a nation of people, Esau is the nation of people who runs, okay, the final world rulership of the heathen. As the scripture said, Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And we're right at that point. Okay, this is why there's all kind of friction and tension in the world. Okay, because this is all the Lord's determination. Again, Esau, 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age. Okay? So if Jacob's hand is the beginning and Esau's heel is the end, don't try to find a space in between. Everything in between has to happen. It's already ordained. All we can do, all right, is ultimately rejoice in the doings of the Lord, even though we know on earth that's going to come with trying times for us. All right, we're fully invested. Now, this is the book of 2nd Esdras 13. Okay, and we'll jump to let's see here, 25. It says, this is the meaning of the vision, which the vision is the return of Yahweh Shai. If you want to really learn about what the war in heaven is, okay, you can read Revelation, the 19th chapter, but also 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter. Upon the return of our Lord, which is going to come in the clouds, these heathen nations are going to fight against him. That's what's being prepared. So if you're entering into Esau's military, you're preparing yourself not only to be sent to be slaughtered as a sacrifice, but also to fight against who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's why they have the sixth faction of their military, which is the Space Force. Not only is that going to be used to fight individuals on Earth by beaming down things, all right, but it's also going to be used to try to fight against the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which is why, the talks of alien files are being, put out. Ultimately, this man is at the end of his world, man, and he's all over the place. We're going to get into a few things, but again, it says, this is the meaning of the vision. The man you saw coming up out of the sea, okay, and we know that the Shemayim, the heavens, are likened unto the sea, waters as well. It says, represents the one whom the Most High has kept ready for many ages. He will free the world he created, the elect, and establish the new order for those who survive. See that? So a new order is getting ready to be set up here on the planet Earth. All right, let's get the book of Sirach real quick. Then we'll jump into some articles. All right, because boy, oh boy. All right, this is the book of Sirach 10 and 8. I'll start at 7. Pride is hateful before the Most High and man, and by both doth one commit iniquity. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Okay? And what we're witnessing is unrighteous dealings. We're witnessing injuries and riches got by deceit. That's what this whole kingdom stands for, all right? The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So the end of the world is not associated with, the whole world blowing up. The scriptures tell you the earth abideth forever. That's the narrative presented unto you by the devil himself, because he's basically of the opinion when his world ends, there's nothing else after that. No. You see, what's next is a righteous kingdom is going to be set up through all of this chaos the Lord is establishing. And the first thing we're going to get into, all right, is that, okay, your government, right, as we are, we'll get into this. Trump confirms war with Iran is about protecting Israel and not America. All right, now we know for a fact that these Christian nationalists, okay, these apologias for, the Christianity as it is, have constantly condemned the Hebrew Israelites, okay, especially those who teach that Esau, Edom, is the so-called white man who rules the world today. Now, some are of the opinion that he's Japhet because of the term Ashkenaz, right, which you have to get your facts straight, okay? Ashkenaz, which is a land that was associated with the region allotted to Japhetic people, the Japhetic tribes, was taken over and ruled by Edomites, okay, who were in the area of Poland, and then by decree, the Balfour Declaration, and before that, the first Aliyah, the second Aliyah, and so forth, They came from the land of Ashkenaz into their so-called homeland as Jews, all right, which, we know prophetically they don't fit the bill, but they're not claiming to be of the seed of Ashkenaz. You can't be Japhetic and Shemitic. Okay, they're claiming to be Shemitic, but from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which, no, they're from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. Okay, and those Ashkenazis came from that land of Poland, where they say they were scattered, which we know the Israelites will be scattered further out than just Europe. They would be in the uttermost parts of the world. Okay, but they returned to that land, and they've been at war, okay, along with those, Palestinians ever since. All right, as a matter of fact, all right, Netanyahu equates Iranian regime to ancient biblical foe. And who might that ancient biblical foe be? All right, Edomites. And we're going to get into it that, all right, as it stands, all right, as it stands, this is why they don't want to deal with us. And they have to go ahead and, create these narratives and lie, because we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. Your American government is supporting, right, the state of Israel, right, the Zionist regime, right, and fighting a war against Amalek. Let that sink into your brain. Okay, your American government, right? Now we're sitting in the land of Christianity, right? America, who has condemned the Hebrew Israelites, constantly came up to us with the narrative that Esau is no longer around. They died in the Roman-Jewish wars. Then they say Esau can be saved. Another year they say, well, the Edomites died out in the book of Second Esdras, which they don't, or Second Maccabees, which they don't condone the Apocrypha, but now they're going into the Apocrypha to justify Esau's being done away with. Then another year they said, well, Esau can be saved just like everybody else, pursuing the Amos 9. They're all over the place. Christians coming up to the Hebrew Israelite camps. The Edomites are no longer around. Now everybody's an expert on who Esau is, right? But Netanyahu, again, this ain't the first time, is equating Iran to an ancient biblical foe. Okay? Let's get this real quick. This is off of Jimmy Dore. This war is the political end of Donald Trump with Dennis Kucinich, all right? Listen to what he says. Let's make sure we have all our cues, and let's get it.
And this is all part of a false interpretation of a biblical narrative from so many years ago about turning this area into, turning the Middle East into a slaughterhouse, and aiding and abetting the murder of hundreds of thousands of Gazans, and the extirpation from their land of people in the West Bank, burning their houses, killing their livestock. And this is all part of a false interpretation of a biblical narrative from so many years ago about the AMALEK, and just kill everybody. Really? And there's a debate about whether it's a genocide. Wow.
If you like to hear my
Okay. Wait a minute. So who's Amalek? All right, who's Amalek? I asked Gronk here. I'm listening. The elder Ariella used it, but I seen the brother put it on there that this is what he uses. So I'm gonna tap in and see what we can get out of it. I just said, who is Amalek, and why is Netanyahu calling Iran or Muslims Amalek? Is Amalek still a nation today? Amalek refers to an ancient biblical people and nation described in the Hebrew Bible Old Testament. All right. They were descendants of Amalek, a grandson of Esau. So wait a minute. We see no peep from vocab Malone. Of course we're not. I mean, we're not asking for it, but it just shows you that, see, the joy of the hypocrite is up. Here it is. For years we have been followed around, stalked even. You Christians are stalkers. You constantly finding Israelites stalking them. You know, how do you know they're the Edomites? You can't prove they're the Edomites. The Edomites were done away with. I'm talking about these are arguments that we had to deal with for years, only to get to the very end in the nitty gritty of it all. And we find out that America is going to war following the true Amalekites, saying that the nation that they are taking down are the Amalekites, because according to Christian nationalist doctrine, you have to bless Israel to be blessed. So your government, let's make sure we get this out there. Your government, as we'll show you, is supporting Israel and taking down the Amalekites, who are Edomites. So they can wage war using the Bible, right? But we can't even use the Bible and stand on the street corner and tell you what's going to happen. We're getting ready to be painted as terrorists, right? Meanwhile, they are using the Bible to actually strike and harm people via missiles, via the sword. Okay? So Esau, all right, the descendants of Amalek, a grandson of Esau, are portrayed as a nomadic tribe, yada, yada, yada. The most famous story involving them is in Exodus 17, when they launched an unprovoked attack on the Israelites shortly after their exodus from Egypt, specifically targeting the weak stragglers in the rear, the elderly and the children. This is seen as a cowardly, and see, when you look at, all right, even this school striking that's being talked about in the news, where they don't care about orphan children. These people don't have a conscience. Okay? Okay, this is seen as a cowardly and evil act. So in Deuteronomy 25:17 through 19, the Most High commands the Israelites to remember what Amalek did and to blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven when they entered the promised land, essentially a divine mandate for their total destruction and as retribution. Later biblical accounts, like in 1 Samuel 15, describe King Saul being ordered by the Most High, okay, via the prophet Samuel, to wipe out the Amalekites entirely, including people, animals, and possessions. But Saul's incomplete obedience leads to his downfall. In Jewish tradition, Amalek has become a symbol, all right, archetype for pure evil, irrational evil, and existential enemies of the Jews. Often invoked in discussions of historic persecutors like Haman of the Book of Esther, linked to Purim. We just got out of Purim. All right. The Nazis or modern terrorists, the command to remember Amalek, okay, is recited annually in synagogues before Purim. And they went to war with Iran right around, all right, a blood moon in Purim. Okay, why is Netanyahu calling Iran or Muslims Amalek? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has used Amalek reference in speeches to draw parallels between biblical enemies and modern threats to Israel, framing them as irredeemable foes that must be, decisively confronted. However, he has not broadly labeled all Muslims as Amalek. You see, of course, they're going to protect this devil. Okay? Regarding Hamas and Gaza conflict, following October 7, 2023, attacks by Hamas, which is funded by them, all right, Netanyahu repeatedly invoked Amalek in public statements. So wait a minute. Either he did or he didn't. So when that thing happened, October 7, 2023, okay, the response from Netanyahu was, we have to remember what Amalek, all right, we have to remember Amalek, and we now have to wipe them out. Okay? This was interpreted as equating Hamas's surprise attack, okay, which killed over this many, 1,200, 1,200 Israelis and took hostages. Yeah, we have information on that too, but we'll leave it here. It says to ancient ambush, justifying a strong military response in Gaza. All right. Regarding Iran, more recently, amid escalation between Israel, all right, allied with the U.S. and Iran in early 2026, Netanyahu explicitly equated the Iranian regime to AMALEK on March 2nd, 2026. Okay, so here we are. This article is from March 3rd. Today is the 9th. Netanyahu equates Iranian regime to ancient biblical foe. So they are fighting, all right, in their eyes, a holy war, right? A holy war, okay, that is tied to an ancient biblical foe. And meanwhile, you hear nothing from Christians. Where are the arguments that Esau is done away with? Israeli Prime Minister, which where is that in the scriptures that when we got back to the land we would have a prime minister? Anyway, referenced, and this all goes back. Let's get it in the book of Ezekiel 36, right? Because they want control of the Holy Land, and they want control of even more to forge a birthright for themselves. This is what's happening. Okay? Ezekiel 36:2, thus said the Lord God, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Okay? Verse 5, therefore thus said the Lord, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. Who's Idumea? The true Edomites. Okay? I believe that's the Greek way of saying Edom. Okay, let's look up Idumea. See, what you're going to find out is that the Idumeans are here and they're ruling the world today. And they're justifying waging war on another group of people based on the fact that they're Idumeans. What if the Hebrew Israelites did that? It would be a never-ending story in the news, right? Hey, but, all right, it's Edom, red, the descendants of Esau, point blank, period. Adawam, okay? So, I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. And we've showed you, all right, on the elder, what's that brother's name? The priest, Yashalam, right? He has a video where he's showing you, all right, and we don't have to get it. You can look it up. Or Jacob, red shield, which means the shield of Edom. The word Rothschild means shield of Edom, if you break it down into Hebrew, right? Shield of the red, shield of Edom. Okay, red shield people, okay? Basically, via the Balfour Declaration, they allotted that for a so-called Jewish state, they allotted that land into their possession, okay? Forwarding British colonization. Okay? That's what America is. That's what the state of Israel is. It forged British colonization, and they have not stopped. Okay? So, during a visit to a site struck by Iranian missile, Netanyahu stated, we read in this week's Torah portion, remember what Amalek did unto you. We remember and we act. So wait a minute. The only time they're going into the scriptures is to justify war. Have you not noticed that? And see, I was looking, I found this clip. Let's see if I can find it. This is off of The Wizard of Oz, man. It's a very important part of the movie, right? Where here it is, this so-called wizard. He put all kind of, this is fair use. I was going to get it from the original movie. It's a little blurrier more blurry on this site, but you can go to Wizard revealed on a Warner Brothers Entertainment website. It probably would have gave me a strike, so I'm just going to use this. But all of the obstacles he put on them on their path to see him, it finally ran out. The enchantment stopped working, and then they got up on him, and this is what they found out. Because this is how Esau portrays himself as this great, the elites. They sit behind, closed doors, doing all of this wickedness, keeping the people, engulfed with propaganda. That was the Wizard of Oz, which, the land of Uz. Some people set tie the Oz to Uz. I can't substantiate it, but could make sense. The scriptures talk about the land of Uz, the Wizard of Oz. We know that these devils are witches, but check this out.
I said, come back tomorrow.
If you are really great and powerful, you'd keep your promises.
You presume to criticize.
You see the dog, which the word Caleb means dog, and it's in a spiritual sense because a dog is set up to be a watchman. So here it is, the dog sneaks under, goes under the curtain, and look what, lo and behold, what they find out.
As a great man, you ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now. Oh, the great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's what the media is trying to basically get you to do. They don't want you to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay, again, the joy, this is the book of Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite before a moment? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his excellency is tied to pseudoscience, lies, control of minds, witchcraft, enchantment, right?
Who are you?
Well, I'm the great
I'm Amalek. That's what you may as well say.
and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I
Yes.
don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me. You humbug. Yes, it's a...
The cowardly lion all of a sudden got aggressive, right? They own his ass. So you finally get up on this nigga, and look what you find out. It was you the whole time.
Exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh, you're a very bad man.
Oh, man.
Bad man.
You can't tell me that ain't Amalek. And this movie is highly spiritual, right? So here we are, right? Let's go here, right? In a sharp reversal, President Donald Trump acknowledged Wednesday that U.S. forces are at war with Iran on behalf of Israel. So your American government is fighting a war, okay, along with Israel to take down the Amalekites. How about that? How about that? Wow. Call halal Yahweh Bashir Yahushai. Whoo! And you won't hear any of this in Western media. You won't hear any complaints from the Christians. Where's vocab to argue that the Edomites are done away with? Because the scriptures tell us concerning Amalek, right? Let's get Amalek in the book of Numbers, the 24th chapter, right? This was because this heathen was charged with you read the story, read from like Numbers 22 to 25, but basically he was given the charge to put a curse on Israel as we were winning wars. Our Lord was with us, but he was given a prophecy concerning how they would win. Okay, so when you go to it, I'll just get to the point. Just speaking of Yahweh Shai, this is what he saw. Like, basically, these Israelites are going to win. Okay? Numbers 24:19. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth in the city. This is talking about Yahweh Shai. Okay? A star shall come out of Jacob. This is what basically he saw a prophecy concerning the return of Yahweh Shai and how the Israelites were going to win when it was all said and done. Okay? Verse 17, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. Basically, this is going to happen in the future. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and he shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy the children of Sheth, all of the heathen nations that eventually were created from Seth, all right, eventually through Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, okay, outside of the chosen. It says, Edom shall become a possession, and Seir shall become the possession for his enemies. Okay, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob there shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth in the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. So when Yahweh Shai returns, Amalek's going to be on top. Okay, Amalek will be the first of the nations, the chief. Okay, and this is how Esau's blessing ends, all right, with Amalek hoarding the whole blessing to himself. And this is why all of your own people are mad at your ass now. See that? This is why you see MAGA turning on one another. This is why you now see even white women cursing out the white man, because ultimately they understand now that your elites, Amalek, don't give a shit about you. So you have this divide now between Christian nationalism and the state of Israel, both calling each other Esau. You see how the Lord is from inside out taking our enemies down. The word is Ra'ash for chief, all right? First of the nations, right? Head, top, summer, chief, sodal, front, beginning. What did we read in 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter? What did Esdras ask the angel? When shall be the end of the beginning, or end of the first, in the beginning of it that followeth? So we're at the end of Esau's world. He's at the chief priest on the left-hand side. He's the chief family. They have everything. They own Hollywood. They own the porno industry. They own the cigarette industry. They own Monsanto. They own everything that's wrong with the world. Yet they want to sit behind this narrative that they are God's chosen people when they're not doing anything that the Lord requires. Let favor be shown unto the wicked, Isaiah 26 and 10. Let favor be shown unto the wicked, yet he will not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness he will deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. So here it is. He has control to a degree of the land, and all he's doing is waging war, stealing, lying. But let's go here.
I think we have great support, and I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel, and give us a shot if that was possible.
So again, we struck Iran based on the fact that they were going to strike Israel. Not that they did, right? But they were.
Fuck Israel.
House divided, baby.
I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they, gave Donald Trump a picture of his grandchildren at school and went, be a shame something happened to them, wouldn't it? I think they would do that in an instant. And you know what I would do immediately? Whip out my camera and go, this mother effer just threatened to kill my kids. See this guy right here that I'm looking at right here? This guy's
basically this whole regime is under blackmail. And they're being forced to do the will of the small hat. Okay?
Threatened to kill my kids. Problem solved, Trump. Like, what could possibly be the issue? The stock market's going to go down. Like, what's the issue? What's the problem? What's the problem? Because right now, everything is getting worse. Everything is going down the tubes. So, like, what is the risk?
Well, they got to take down AMALEK.
Of doing something extraordinary to try to fix things. What is the threat here? That, like, the cool Jews won't like you in Florida? I think that's, like, kind of what it is. Okay, all right. So our country's just over. You're just like the biggest traitor since Benedict Arnold, and all hope is lost. Okay, but at least you're going to be able to retire in Tel Aviv, despised by your own people. Well done. Good choice, dumbass. I don't understand. So he's not doing well. He's not handling this well, and he's lying. And they're all lying. And the lies are ridiculous and outrageous and completely contradictory to the lies they told yesterday. Look at this guy. I almost feel bad for him. But I don't feel bad for him because he's the one doing it. He's the one making the decision. He's the one we empowered. He doesn't have an excuse. He's the one trusting the people betraying him. He's the one who hasn't fired Pam Bondi. He's the one who hasn't fired any of the people that have betrayed him over and over. So I don't feel sorry for him. I feel mad at him.
Through.
Not just him. Everybody that has contributed to this.
Hurt.
Everybody that has defended Israel in the last 2 years. Everybody that defended the Venezuela thing. Everybody that went along with all of this. The blood is on all of their hands. And the destruction of America is courtesy of them. Again, this whole thing's so freaking ridiculous. Let's go to this video of Trump today. Again, like reiterating that we had to do this to save Israel. This is why does he? I swear to God, he is in this world in D.C. where he is literally surrounded by Israeli sick.
Now, remind you, these were the same Edomites rallying behind him. Last year. No more wars. You niggas ain't shit. You sucking up all our resources. DEI. Oh, the white man is under attack. These darker nations are ruining. There are weeds in our garden that must be rooted out. Y'all cheered for it. Y'all were happy as hell. Get these dirty migrants away from us. These scamming ass Somalians. All right. Which, not to say that there ain't some scammers over here, but we know they wasn't doing that big scam on their own. It was a small hat or Edomite as well up in there that knew about it and that was benefiting off it as well. And there was a whole nother narrative behind that. Either way it goes, to hell with the Somalis, to hell with all. We don't have no, stake in any of this. We're just bringing out the news. But now look, as they're finding out, their own elites are betraying them.
Fans, and he does not understand that that's not the wider world.
Dog.
Like, I'm trying to figure out how to express this.
And you have to understand the elites. All right. And Trump and them who basically work for the elites, having these kind of Edomites on their side, was the only way this was going to ever work. But see, now they're getting ready to run into another problem. Okay. We're going to show you even Matt Walsh's now, because these Edomites got emboldened through Trump's promise to make the white man great again. They were emboldened. Again, they started tapping back into that pseudoscience, their statistics. 13% of the world does the majority of the crime. Okay? And we ain't protecting niggas are a problem. But that's a damn lie. That percentage, as if you Edomites don't do any crime. The 2/3 of Israel and all of y'all going down. don't give a damn about the 2/3 of Israel, but we know your statistics and your pseudoscience is a lie. But look how it backfires. Let's listen to a little bit more.
But it'd be like if somebody came in to InfoWars, and the whole InfoWars crew is maybe like sitting around watching something, and this person comes into InfoWars and is like, well, I mean, the good news is that, like, okay, this might not have been good, but like now there's going to be a lot more trans children. Now trans kids are going to get free transgender surgery. And they're like saying this, like, isn't that a good thing? So like, isn't that awesome? And we're all like, where do you think you are? Who do you think you're talking to? Like, do you understand what I mean? That it's like, he's like, but guys, Israel would have been hurt. And we're all like,
what the fuck is
fuck Israel? What? Good. They should be destroyed. What are you talking about? So let's go to Trump making the argument that, like, guys, we had to do this. Otherwise, Israel would suffer the consequences of their actions. Let's watch.
This is very important, and we're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far. And that was a tremendous threat to us for many years. 47 years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world. And I think we have great support. And
so the last 47 years here in Babylon, all right, not to say that the Arab nations haven't put hell and, on Jake, but who here in America, let's just talk about you Israelites. For the last 47 years, who has worked all kind of psychological operations on you? Okay, use their F to the B to the I to infiltrate your so-called uprisings, put drugs in your neighborhood, took over your music and made it to what it is today. Spread chemtrails all over the and this stuff affects everybody, but I'm talking about you Israelites, because you're the target of this all. Okay? The food's fake. Then RFK popped up. We're gonna take red dye out of your annihilators. And now all of a sudden we supposed to be happy. And then this dude fought back against it. They reneged on everything that they were supposedly to do. Why was there red dye in the foods in the first place? Why are all of these ingredients allowed in America's food that ain't allowed in other places in the world? They ain't reneging on that. That's going to continue because it puts money in the pockets of the small hats that are at the forefront of all of this destruction. This is just a hub of wickedness, man. Anyway.
I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. And if we didn't terminate the worst deal, one of the worst deals ever made, the Obama nuclear deal, I call it the Obama nuclear deal, where he gave everything to Iran, including a nuclear weapon. It was a road to a nuclear weapon.
There you go.
Bad things would have happened 4 years ago because they would have had a weapon 4 years ago if I didn't terminate that deal.
So it's for Israel. That was Donald Trump. So 2 days ago, Marco Rubio came out and said the reason we launched this attack now was because Israel was about to attack Iran. If Israel were to attack Iran, Iran would have attacked us. So we joined in the preemptive strike against Iran because we cannot restrain Israel, apparently, or at least we didn't try. Then yesterday, they came out, Caroline Leavitt, Marco Rubio, they all came out and said, no way, that's not what we said at all. That's not what we said even a little bit. This was not Israel's decision. Israel did not force America into this.
Well, prophecy says otherwise. The least of the flock is drawing them out.
Now, today, Donald Trump just re-emphasized what Marco Rubio said, but even worse. Marco Rubio said we had to do this because Israel was going to attack and Iran would have killed a bunch of our people, so we had to respond to minimize our damages. That's not even what Trump just said. Trump just said we had to do this or else they would have attacked Israel and maybe hit us also.
Yep. So, the curious being of Amalek, okay? This is an article posted on March 4th. The brief story of Amalek is perhaps the oddest story in the first 5 books of Moses, the Torah. All right. Amalek, whether a terrorist nation or a terrorist who led a nation, truly warranted total destruction. Indeed, the attack by Amalek on the children of Israel, unsuccessful as it was a total, all right, gratuitous effort, lacking any reason for it. Well, there was a reason for it, because if you go back to Rebekah's womb, the two nations were fighting inside of her. Okay? Lacking any reason for it. Okay? So this is the reason why there's such friction between Jacob and Esau. It's spiritual. Okay? It's not about skin color. It's spiritual. Okay? It sought to undermine Israel's liberation from slavery that lasted multiple centuries. Just talking about when we left out of Egypt the first time. Okay? So, still it seems God went much further. He told Moses that he would surely erase the memory of Amalek from the heavens. Okay? And that's going to happen when the house of David gets back together. Okay? Under Yahweh Shai, the kingdom. Moses added, all right, that the hand is on the throne of God. All right. Yahweh maintains a war against Amalek from generation to generation. Hashem is not his name. Hashem just means the Hashem name. He has a name. And this is why you know these ain't the people. And this is off of Times of Israel. It said, okay, but in erasing the memory of Amalek, we are surprisingly told by many authorities that this brief story of Amalek is the most single important event in the Torah, worthy of repetition, when past Pashtar Zakor, portion of remembrance, but not the portion of erasure, comes yearly. They constantly bring this up. Interestingly, we are never told that the memory of Egypt, a nation that enslaved us long before and chose to kill our firstborn males, yada, 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 right, yada, yada, yada. Right. Indeed, we are told that the Amalekites continually come along as our enemies every generation. So they're using the Bible. They've used the Bible to justify war after war after war after war after war, man. And as we get to the very end, we're finding out that they are Amalek. But your U.S. government is fighting a war. We can't let this slip out. We can't let this, just like the Epstein files, none of this is going to go away. Okay? They're equating Iran to a biblical foe, the Amalekites. How are they able to do this? Where's the kickback? So they're sending all right, which they're going to eventually send your sons and daughters into this war, right? Which there are already some of them over there, to fight a war to take down the Amalekites. Wow. Okay. And your own people are cursing you out. There's another one. Wait a minute. Hold up. Let me go here real quick. Let's do this.
Bottom line is that I've confirmed that Israel is basically in control of our foreign policy by our own posture to be allied with them.
Got that confirmed.
What? Well, let me see. Whoa, it's March 2026.
So MAGA is now finding this out.
Kurt, I don't know if you saw this, but here is Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes crashing out over their support for Donald Trump. Here we go. This is about the Iran war. Finally, Epstein, the Iran war, finally. They were okay with him instituting DEI for Jewish students. They were okay for him cracking down on hate speech. They were okay with him doing censorship. They were okay with him exporting people here legally who are criticizing Israel. They're okay with all that. They're okay with doing a genocide in Gaza. They're okay with still funding the Ukraine war. They're okay with bombing Iran. They're okay with bombing Yemen. They're okay with starving the people and doing siege warfare in Cuba. They're okay with Nicolas Maduro being kidnapped and us doing the decapitation. They're okay. But finally, they can't keep covering for this president because that's what. Okay, well, let's listen.
And I'm watching it sink by its own doing. And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III.
How does it feel, Americans, to fight a war, right? You'll be sent to fight a war now, right? To take down the Amalekites. Who you cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. And a lot of them ain't going to talk about it. Hey, but that's where the prophets are set up. Western media ain't going to really talk about this. Christians ain't going to really call this out too much. See, the joy of the hypocrite was but for a moment. Remember, he only had a little season to do all of this BS. Okay? And for years, they didn't want you to pay attention to the man behind the curtain. But we're living in a time where now the wicked is being revealed. 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, Anton Daniels. Well, even the Hodge twins are now, those well, it may be Edomites, but even they're now cursing out Trump. Everybody's, the greatest MAGA supporters are now.
And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man. Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional. And I still will be turning around. Sorry, go ahead. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns. I get it. We all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people. This is my whole life too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country, and became a pariah on my college campus.
It's sad to see somebody you fought, bled for, die.
Yeah, and that's my whole adult life. I know that's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to acknowledge it with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is like, when these people doing that can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah, well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there's a lot of...
Right. I was a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what this administration has become.
We got to be brutally honest about what this administration. So Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones are finally stepping off the boat that has already taken us to where we are now and have been for a long time.
They're not.
But hey, guess what? I still welcome it. The point being that the beleaguered population wanted all the right things, so Trump cleverly said all the right things.
Right.
Oh, man. Isaiah 19:19. Isaiah 19:2. I will make Egyptian fight against Egyptian, brother against brother, and neighbor against neighbor, city against city, and proverb against province against province. The Egyptians will lose heart, and I will confuse their plans. They will plead with their idols for wisdom and call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult the spirits of the dead. I will hand Egypt over to a hard, cruel master. A fierce king will rule them. And you new listeners, you're reading this, let's talk about Egypt. Well, do you understand that there will be a spiritual Egypt that ruled in the latter days? Do you understand Egypt is also symbolism in scriptures for the final captivity of the Israelites? So much that the deliverance from this new Egypt is going to be the new Passover in the kingdom. Did you know that? That's in Jeremiah 16. Somebody posted Jeremiah 16:14. Okay, this is going to be the new, what we're entering into when the Lord returns. That's going to be the new Passover. Okay, he's going to defend us from on high. See that? Let's get that in Isaiah 31. Or is it in Isaiah 24? Isaiah 31:5. As birds flying, so will Yahweh defend Jerusalem. Defending it, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. This word passing over, right? Peshach, Passover, spring over. And we're coming up on the Passover that we keep it to the best of our ability through faith, just rehearsing the righteous acts. April 1st is the Passover, but in the kingdom, we're not going to celebrate that Passover anymore. We're going to celebrate the Lord delivering us from the land of the north. See that? The land of the north. So this is the new Egypt. Jeremiah 16:14. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. All right, we're in the northwestern hemisphere in our final captivity, North America, and from all the lands whither you have driven them, all right, and I will bring them again to their land that he gave unto their fathers. Okay? So this war that we see these devils being entered into is the beginning. Well, it was really us, receiving the Holy Spirit from around the 60s. Okay, when the men of the Lord went out on the highways and the byways, Abba Bivens, up to now, that was the beginning process of the end of Esau's world, leading unto us, who've entered into the labors of the apostles, bishops, and elders. Okay? So this is how his end looks. Matt Walsh, okay, another one, is now turning on Trump.
Yeah. Let's see what he says. I like his movies. He does great movies.
He just came out with a documentary rewriting history, all right, from the perspective of the slave master. Basically saying that how the story was told of what they did to us as people, it was overhyped. It was justified. The Native Americans deserved it because they were primitive. All right. We killed a lot of people, but ultimately it was to save the world. That's Matt Walsh. Okay. Hopefully he survives. And when New Jerusalem comes down, we'll pay him a visit as well.
Scroll down. There's that BB right there.
Right
what
here?
Does he say?
He says, we were told the program was obliterated in the summer. That's what they told us, direct quote.
Yeah, they lied to you and told you we already obliterated, their nuclear, weapons program. And see, this lets you know this is Egypt as well, because Egypt overhyped when they lost. Okay, they would use the control of the narrative to diminish when they lost and this is what America is doing via their media. So all they do is lie to you with propaganda, right, about their so-called victories, and people are still stuck on stupid. The American military will never be taken down. All right, you just wait until this thing really gets to going, because on paper, America's dominant, but prophetically, we know that they will be weakened and that these allies would turn on them. Okay, because of this ill dealing being done by the small hat.
It cannot be the case the program was both obliterated and also close to being immune to attack. That is a logical impossibility, a contradiction in terms. Like a square circle, it makes no sense. So that's good. Good for Matt Walsh.
Yeah, he's even turning on them. But I typed this in. Why do some small hats call American Christians Esau and vice versa? The use of Esau and his descendants, nation of Edom, as labeled for American Christians or for Western Christian society more broadly stems from a long-standing symbolic interpretation in Jewish tradition, particularly rabbinic and medieval sources. This is not a universal view among all of them. It's mostly found in traditional Orthodox or mystical contexts. Where has the argument been? Where has because again, vocab Malone he catches planes to go and follow Israelites around, asking them, telling them Esau's no longer. But here it is amongst the people he support. They call the American Western Christian an Edomite. See that? in Hebrew Bible, Esau, all right, is the ancestor of the Edomites, and the people who lived south of ancient Israel often clashed with the Israelites, all right, in the scriptures. After the Roman Empire destroyed the Second Temple and persecuted Jews, rabbis began identifying Rome with Edom, Esau, and Rome was Esau. Okay? But see, once they took up on the position of them being the actual Jews, which Herod did that, okay, in history books, things change, man. This served as a coded way to discuss the oppressor without directly naming it to avoid Roman reprisals. Esau's traits, being hairy, a hunter, impulsive, and selling his birthright, were parallel with Roman power, militarism, and dominance. And yes, it is. Even America. Okay, America is an extension of the Roman Empire. From the Renaissance out of Italy to the French, the Spanish, the British, okay, America, the small hats, it all was forwarding. It's an extension of the Western Roman Empire, the Renaissance. Okay? But as you can see, we don't got to go back and forth. There's an ongoing back and forth between some small hats called the American Christians, Esau, and some, they talk about the Black Hebrew Israelites, some Christian groups call, all right, the Jews Esau, Edom. It says some Black Hebrew Israelites, especially one West fractions, claim modern Jews are descendants of Esau, imposters, while they themselves are the true Israelites. Okay? A few esoteric anti-Semitic Christian interpretations flip the script, identifying Jews with Esau to argue replacement theology. So there's a back and forth at the end of the day between Esau, Edom, right, with this whole Esau narrative. But as we can see, MAGA is flipping. Okay? Even the Christian nationalist over here in America is now calling out the Edomite. Okay? And this is going to what? Enter civil war. That's what's next. Amidst economic collapse as well, as the ramifications of this war are going to, hit America.
Right.
And America voted in their desperation and exhaustion for the closest thing to what they were demanding. That's what happened. And
Right.
so I actually,
this is the dialectic. They worked it out on us. So why does he have Nick Fuentes on at all? Nick Fuentes didn't support Trump. Nick Fuentes said he was voting for Kamala. So that doesn't make any sense.
you know what? You're right.
Yeah. So also Fuentes is funded, again, by Liberty and Levin's, I don't want to say Jew Gold sponsor, but he is. He's the one that said there's nothing to the Epstein files, who's selling Epstein sweatshirts on as merch right now, because you got to admit, Jeff had aura. I'm quoting that little piece of shit. So I don't know what this little play acting is. Someone's been given permission to do this.
Right. It's all an act. It's all an act, man. But it still fulfills prophecy. Their own tongues are falling on themselves, man. These people are all over the place and through.
Maintain some level of credibility is how I take it.
Here's one more video.
Bottom line is that I've confirmed that Israel is basically in control of our foreign policy by our own posture to be allied with them.
Got that confirmed.
What? Let me say, whoa, it's March 2026.
That doesn't make any sense that he just now. I know. I went on his show and I know the dude, and he's very smart. And there's no way that if I would know that, and he just now figured it out. That's not possible.
It's not possible. It's not possible.
And you're gonna find out a lot of these people who've been in your face as leaders of the, against the deep state. They've all in on it too. Controlled opposition. At the end of the day, America's through. Esau's through. Okay? The only thing y'all got left is the sword, and basically blaming us. Okay?
Possible. He's known it longer than me.
And I know about Nick Fuentes longer than a bunch of people. How's he not figured it out? Because he has to have that asshole on his show, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And that is uncontrovertible. Because now they're trying to damage control. Oh, no, Trump gave the order. No.
Hey, how did he come to the conspiracy theory that Trump is under Israel control? Just besides the fact that Trump has repeatedly said he is. Trump repeatedly trots out Miriam Adelson and says, she's got me. They give me the money, then I got to do what they want. They come to the White House. What do you want now? Okay, I give it to them.
It sounds bitter when he does it. Like he's telling all of us this is what it is. And every time he does one of these, we've had two stories. I remember Mary Medicine and then what's his name? Lutnick, that wonderful man.
Through. Let's get this one. Arrows of Indignation 144. Hey, Esau, your own women are turning against you. How does it feel? A clear sign you're losing power.
White men, and white men particularly who desire power, money, are the problem. White men who cannot control their urges are the problem. White men who present a face of honesty and rectitude and caring, but who aren't, who are essaying children, are the.
And your own women been against your ass, because when y'all had us in hardcore slavery, you know, the white woman had to shut the F up. So they would, you know, use the little power they had while the slave master was sleeping, go and torture, you know, Jake, and do all kind of weird sex acts with him and have them doing all kind of, you know, freak them out, just, you know, her desires. And then, you know, later on in American history, you know, they started rebelling, you know, the Bloomers Rebellion. They wanted to, you know, wear pants, and they didn't want to be the slave master's wife. They wanted to have power too. That was the beginning of the feminist movement, where white women wanted credibility, you know, alongside her white man. They didn't say they didn't need him, right? They gave that to you niggas, you know, we don't need our man. But the white woman was basically, you know, coming out of that post-hardcore slavery era saying, we're tired of being told to, shut the F up. You know, we can do the same thing. We're heroic. You know, you can go into all that history. But the curse has been hit y'all asses. It's just going to get worse. Okay?
The problem. The secrecy is the problem. God help us all.
Oops, I don't think they meant for that to happen. In the process of people going through Epstein files and STDs and looking through history and all of these things, and looking at the people who are in charge of our country right now and the ultra far right leaning ideology, specifically those saying that whites are supposed to be the superior race. What they didn't expect to happen would be that people would start figuring out that the worst human beings are, in fact, white men. More specifically, wealthy white men. I don't think they meant for anyone to figure this stuff out. I mean, they've been controlling the narrative of history books for how long? But in studies that were done in even the early 19th century, they could find that the spreading of STDs was like 10% came in girls that were 13 and under, and upper class and middle class.
And don't let these people fool you that the Epstein files are just full of 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls. There's babies involved, and there's little boys involved. Okay?
White families. I'm not laughing because that's funny. That's freaking terrible. But what's funny is now everyone is starting to figure it all out. And sure, there have been plenty of people screaming that that was the problem the whole time. Even I have screamed that on this page. But even I didn't realize that it's that deep. Oh, it's that deep. And since I know my content is being right now, I'll just also go ahead and say Katie Johnson's name again, because every time I say her name, I know for sure the video won't go anywhere. And again, I will say, I believe that they are in a process of trying to normalize schmedophilia. I cannot tell you how many young men I have seen in comment sections of videos about Epstein who are like, dude, he's not that bad. Or even on other podcasts that I've been listening to, these guys come in and they're like, yeah, I'm one too. What of it? I'm going to squash any ideas you have about how this is wrong. What? Like, we went straight from we hate people who do this to a bunch of people not only accepting, but like claiming to be one of them.
And the white male and woman is at the forefront of PDF file activity.
These files are horrific. I understand why people don't want to look, but we need to look, because the fact that we have kept looking.
We didn't need the files to know that.
Away for centuries is why we're here.
So this is a tough one to talk about. I don't see any way around it. Let me apologize in advance to those white men who I am acquainted with and respect and love. but you've got to speak what's true. Pedophilia, victimizing of people who you have power over. In this case, the victimizing of children who you have power over. Has anyone noticed that in every arena, it is rich white men who dominate the field? We know Epstein, where it's so distressing that some of the richest men on the planet habitually sexually abused children. S8, I think I'm supposed to say, children. And they were tied together in secrecy, in keeping each other's secrets for decades. They were tied together financially. I think it was, if you deal with me financially and you become independent or become intertwined, you're...
See, Esau's a creep. I'm glad the brother put that precept up. Hebrews 12. Let's get Hebrews 12 and 16. Let's get Hebrews 12. And I'll do another news and prophecy because I had some information about the economic collapse. But we're going to just leave this one at this. This is Hebrews 12 in 16 in NLT. Make sure that no one is immoral or godless like Esau, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal. Okay? There's another one, NIV. See that no one is sexually immoral or godless like Esau. See that? So this man is through. He's nasty. Okay? And when it's all said and done, your own widows ain't gonna weep for your ass. Job 27 and 13. This is the portion of a wicked man with the Most High, and a heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword. If his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. So these regular everyday Edomites are now suffering, right, at the hands of the decisions made by their leaders. This is your legacy. There's a shameful spewing on it. Complain ungodly. The scriptures say, Sirach 41 and 7. I'll start at 6. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. America was supposed to be their inheritance, and their prosperity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. See that? The children will complain. So now they're going into the history and they're like, yeah, we did a lot of shit, man. Okay? Job 27 and 15. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widow shall not weep. So when your own woman comes against you, that's showing that you're under a curse. And this is what happened to us as a nation. Now we are witnessing it happen to Esau, Edom. And this is just the very beginning of it. And there's much more on the internet. There's much more videos about this all. All right, but we'll leave it there. Again, when it's all said and done, okay, Esau has been made bare. Jeremiah 49 and 10. But I have made Esau bare from Taharamoth. I have uncovered his secret places. He shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children. I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. So your own widows, right, are going to celebrate your downfall. Ain't that some shit? Your widows, the white woman, is going to, clap along with the other nations that you fell. Just like our women did to us. Didn't our women do that to us? When they were fed that feminist BS, where the white woman just wanted to be equal with her white man. But they fed to you. You didn't need your so-called black man. And look at where that led to. You in churches full of thousands of single women don't know what's wrong and why men don't want to deal with them no more. I wonder why. Anyway, Esau Edom is at the end of his world, man. Okay? And we love to see the fall of our enemy. Okay? And we ain't out harming anybody. So don't come to us with, well, turn the other cheek, love your enemy. That's supposed to, first of all, that was talking about amongst your own nation. But we are showing love to our enemies by telling them the truth of the matter. We ain't doing nothing wrong to y'all. We ain't harming y'all. We're just telling the truth. Are we going to war? Are we then taking up arms and saying, well, you know, the AMALEK did this so we could? No, y'all are doing that. So it's time for y'all to shut up. Sirach 25:7. Right? It says, there be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy. And the 10th will I utter with my tongue, a man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Okay? And again, your government, right, is at war, okay, with Iran so that they can stop AMALEK. Where is the American critic? Where's Vocab Malone on this? See what he's talking about. I ain't seen him lately. Musician, artist. See what he's talking about. Let's see if he, of course we know he ain't. Through. Islam was always racist. Muhammad. So again, he's even going against, and he's admitted, right? Vocab Malone has admitted that the Edomites, okay, they just mixed in with the Arabs. So he's of the opinion that the Arabs are Amalekites. See, everything's about Islam. Can you all now see the pair? Hebrew Israelism, Islam. They're going. And it's not going to work. Look at this nigga. Fair use.
Vocab Malone is his name. He was born and raised on the south side of Columbus, Ohio. He holds a master's degree from Phoenix Seminary, and his focus is urban apologetics and cultural worldview analysis. He's done a number of debates and dialogues with.
Find that skit that he had in there. The Bible ain't white and Jesus is not a colonizer. There was a skit. If you look, it's weird. Anyway, here's another one coming up. Islam was always racist. So again, let me see.
Vocab.
That skit in here. Hold on. I thought, man, am I tripping? Very weird that it's on the video and when you look at it like that. Either way it go, we know this guy is a clown. But for some reason, what these small hats are doing is not being brought up on his page. Maybe he did a live show on it. Nope, still talking about the Israelites. The Israelites. Secret histories of Kemet. Ex-Hebrew Israelite priest speaks out. So, nope, not a peep from him. And the scriptures talks about partial. You're not supposed to be partial. First Timothy 5:21, I charge thee before God and before the Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach and the elect angels that thou observe these things without preferring one before another. Do nothing by partiality. Okay? James 3:17, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, then gentle, easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. So the Christian church is guilty of hypocrisy and partiality, unfair bias in favor of one thing or person. Again, we showed you some Christians do call the small hats Esau and say that they're Jacob. But in the grand scheme of things, all of them are wrong, and all of them are, they're through. Yeah, all of them are Edomites at the end of the day. But I find it very interesting that this war, that is the most important war of ever, is being fought behind AMALEK. And your media and your pastors are silent about it. And they told you that they basically, nigga, this war that we're getting ready to fight is going to usher in Jesus Christ. Right? Let's see here. All right, so we'll be back with more. I'm going to just leave it there. I had a few other things that I wanted to tie to it, but we'll be back with more. Shalom.